Morning, everybody. How you doing? Welcome back to the Spurs Talk Show. I'm Sean Butler. I'm not sure if you can see her, but she's back and very much off the lead today. Bugsy Malone is there leading the charge on this episode 242, I think, of Tottenham Walks. The grass has been cut this morning, so the grass seeds are out of the way, which is good news for everybody. Apparently, apart from the bees and the other pollinating insects, but this is private land, so people here can do what they want. Let me ask you this, guys. Will you do me some favours? Will you smash the like button for me? Like you always do? Like recently, you have been amplifying the effort in as much to the point where I think 4 out of the last 5 or 6 videos have got over 1,000 likes. It's mind-boggling, crazy numbers. I'm very, very grateful. Truly am. Please hit that like button for me this time, if you don't mind. Also hit the subscribe if you haven't already, guys. We are now, I think, about 9 subscribers away from 10k. And if we do hit 10k today, then I'm probably going to have to do a live stream to talk in more detail about some of the things I'm going to talk about on this walk with you, which is about the kind of right back situation, and maybe what do we think about Pedro Porro? Where do we really see him being utilised, and where do we go? But before we get to that, hit the notification bell and drop a comment as well. I really appreciate all of the insights you guys drop into the section below. My opinions are always in flux. My understanding of Tottenham is very much shaped by a lot of the things that you guys put into the comments as well. So please keep them coming. Really appreciate it. Guys, let me just kind of catch us all up for a second. Let me catch my breath at the same time because, you know, I'm unfit. But yesterday, Maddison joined. Wonderful piece of news. Wonderful piece of business as well. Harry Winks today is undergoing a medical at Leicester. £10 million deal on the table. I mean, it's crazy business. That is really, really good business. A net 30 million for James Maddison. We've got rid of a player that will really help Leicester. We brought in a player that will really help us. Things are looking really good, and I have to be honest, I know people think of me as someone who's a Daniel Levy apologist or a sympathiser or whatever. Call it what you want, I don't care. I'm someone that tries to bring balance and in my opinion, logic to arguments. And regardless of how you feel about Daniel Levy, you can hate him and you can continue to hate him and want him out of the club. But I think it would be unreasonable to say that this particular window hasn't started with some fantastic business on his part, but on his behalf. So, like, fair play, Daniel. You've still got a lot to make up for in the eyes of many, but you started well. Try and continue on this track and try and have your greatest moment as a Tottenham chairman and make it be this summer. Make this rebuild the best start to a long-term rebuild under an entirely new vision that you can make it. Keep doing the business you're doing, and I think most Tottenham fans will go into the season with incredible optimism and excitement. But for that to happen, we obviously need centre-backs. And we know what's going on, right? Last night there was a note out from Romano, a tweet from Romano saying Tottenham have opened conversations with Mickey van der Ven and Wolfsburg. Van der Ven, however you say his name, he is eager, excited to join Tottenham. Personal terms won't be a problem, and Tottenham are opening the conversations with Van der Ven. And at 26 million, which is the asking price, I think Daniel Levy will find a way to make this one work. I'd be surprised if he pays 26 million, but he will try and make it work. He'll try and get it done for 22 million, something like that. On this particular one, I would be really excited if he was just to pay it, because I know that Liverpool are sniffing around, and I know that Manchester United apparently are sniffing around. There's a lot of bigger clubs than us that probably have a lot bigger draws than us that are sniffing around waiting to see, that are being asked to be kept informed of the situation. Whilst I am impressed with Daniel Levy thus far, we have been down this road before with Liverpool gazumping us or just stealing it from us under our noses at the last minute. And I think that Mickey van der Ven, with the utility that he can offer, both as a left back, both as a left-sided centre-back, the balance to the defence with his left foot being stronger, the pace that he has. Henry Wright was telling me a couple of days ago that He officially clocked the fastest sprint ever, I think it was, in German football, or was beaten by someone by 0.001 second. I mean, this guy he's raw. Let's not be, let's not kind of throw the baby out with the bathwater when it comes to over optimism. He's raw. He's going to make mistakes for sure, but he has in his locker all of the potential attributes and talent and ceiling height that draws my attention, and I would love him to come in. I'd also love Tapsoba to come in. Where I'm just going to quickly focus this on is the news that also came out last night, and we spoke about it on Henry's show at 6, and then we pivoted to Sava's show at 7. Both great shows, love those guys. Go and smash the subscribe to Henry Wright TV and to the Football Heritage if you haven't already. We were talking about whether or not the news that maybe Eric Dier is looking likely to stay at Tottenham, and that when you incorporate that with the other news that Romano put out yesterday, that Longley, whilst is still on the list, has been kind of put to the back burner, what does this kind of mean? And in my interpretation, first and foremost, I think that Clement Longley has been decided to be put as like a kind of a full gap, like a backstop, like a last chance saloon. Like if we miss out on Van der Ven, if we miss out on Tapsoba, if something goes awry with the negotiations for a left-sided centre-back, or for one of the two, or for both of the two first choices, then maybe he will end up coming in as a last resort, which I'm okay with. I've said it a million times, like I don't think he had a bad season last year. I think he is arguably one of our best, if not the best, most consistent centre-backs. However, I've seen Milk turn faster. His pace is a real issue in the new system and the new style of football that we're playing. So I'm okay with him being put to the back burner. With the noise that Eric Dier might be staying after all, well, how does that kind of influence things? Maybe it's been decided that Tottenham will possibly go for Van der Ven and Tapsoba, dream world, but then we won't have enough budget to also go for someone like Tosin Adarabioyo, or however you say that guy's very complicated last name, Adarabioyo. Maybe that Fulham are holding out for too much money, and considering he's on his final year of his contract, and Eric Dier is too, maybe there's a gentleman's agreement going on in the background that Eric Dier can remain at Tottenham, run down his contract, leave next summer for free, and then maybe Tottenham can sign Tosin next summer. Maybe. I'm thinking outside the box. What I would make the argument for is maybe there's a perfect straight swap situation going on. If Tosin has told Fulham he wants out and will leave next year for free, maybe Tottenham and Fulham can do a deal where Dier goes to Fulham and Tosin comes to Tottenham. Neither of those two have to move home. Everyone is happy, and both players get new contracts, new security, and go in their kind of relevant directions. That to me seems like a bit of logical, creative thinking that would make a lot of sense. Then Tottenham can then use the money that they need and want to spend on Van der Ven and Tapsoba. And in that scenario, guys, it's dream world for me, where you have Udogie and maybe Van der Ven or Ben Davies playing left back, and then at left-sided centre-back you have ideal world Tapsoba and Van der Ven and Ben Davies swapping in where injuries are necessary or whatever else. And on the right-hand side you have Dier, you have Tosin and Romero playing interchangeable pivots, and then on the right of them you have Emerson and Porro or Spence, and we'll figure out what that is on maybe the live stream we're hopefully going to do later today. To me, that looks like a dream world. So the reason why I mentioned about moving homes and using Eric Dier and Tosin as the example for people who don't need to move home necessarily for them to continue with their career, and how much of a benefit that is because we're going to now move the conversation forward towards Harry Kane. Yesterday, Harry Redknapp came out with a BBC interview and said there's absolutely no chance he's going to Bayern Munich. Forget it, chalk it off. It doesn't matter whether they put in the 70 million euro bid, the 80 million, the 90 million euro bid. He's not going to go. He's building a home in Virginia Water. Virginia Water, for what it's worth, is a very exclusive private residence estate that is about 3 miles away from me in that direction. Wonderful golf course. It's right next door to Wentworth, where they have the Players' Championship in the UK every year. I've been fortunate enough to have played golf on both of the golf courses, and I've got friends who live in the estate from when I was younger. Yeah, I don't get to mix in that kind of circle anymore, unfortunately, but he's just down the road from me, and the stories that have been pumped out from the Times and the Telegraph ever since that kind of story broke yesterday is that Harry Kane must surely be therefore willing to move to Chelsea, because Chelsea's training ground is in Cobham, which is about, I don't know, 1.5 miles in that direction from where I am right now. I don't think it's anything more than very much of a stretch to say because Harry Kane is building a house here, he's going to necessarily want to move to Chelsea. I can't imagine that's going to happen. Maybe stranger things have happened, but the idea for me of Harry Kane leaving Tottenham and going to Chelsea when he knows what happened with Sol Campbell, and I don't think the two are that different. Sol Campbell was a hero at Tottenham when he moved to Arsenal. I would say that Chelsea and the relationship that Tottenham and Chelsea fans have right now would I don't suggest that the rivalry between Tottenham and Chelsea is not quite as big, not quite as large as that between Tottenham and Arsenal, but it's not that different. I can't imagine that Harry Kane would want to devastate his legacy at Tottenham by joining Chelsea. Maybe the Pochettino factor is an element that we have to bake in, but if that's the reach of these mainstream journalists to say that because he's within a few miles, one side or the other, 10 miles away from the two training grounds, to me it is nonsense. He's only about 20 miles away, 25 miles away as the crow flies from the Tottenham training ground in North London. It's still only a 50-minute journey by car, even if he does move to Virginia Water. What I would say though is that if he is building a home, does that mean that he's probably not going to go to Bayern Munich? Listen, on the conversation that we had last night with Henry and Sava on both channels, we were talking about the kind of relevant bid that would be necessary. And Henry brought up some statistics that showed Bayern Munich and the Bundesliga in general's highest bids for players ever. And I think it was the fifth most expensive Bundesliga signing in the history of the Bundesliga. And I could be wrong on this, but it was about 35 million euros for a player that went to Wolfsburg. So I don't think that Daniel Levy is going to sell Harry Kane to Bayern Munich for anything less than something that looks like a £90 million bid. And that would break, I believe, all Bundesliga records and Bayern Munich's records. And the financial situation in German football is incredibly different to how it looks in the UK. I just don't see it happening. And so does that mean then that Harry Kane is more likely to stay at Tottenham next year? I think it does. I'm leaning into very strongly right now, I could be wrong, who knows, but I am very much leaning into the situation, as is Harry Redknapp, that Harry Kane will be playing for Tottenham next year, and that hopefully within the year something happens at Tottenham that is measurable and exciting and consistent enough for Harry Kane to be convinced to stay at Tottenham for the rest of his career. Who knows whether that will be the case or not, but for what it's worth, just because you're building a home a few miles that way and there happens to be a rival's training ground a couple of miles that way, does not mean that the player will be moving in that direction. Let me know your thoughts, guys. Like, subscribe and comment. If you haven't already, really do appreciate the subscribe. Get us over 10k. If 10k happens today, I'll be doing a thank you live stream. We can go through what I really wanted to talk about, which is the right back situation / right wing forward situation. I think that we're not talking about it enough as a fan base. I think there's a general presumption that Tottenham don't need a right back. For me personally, Pedro Porro is not a clean fit. Emerson Royale, I mean, everyone seems to be in love with him. Me too, he's a cult hero, but whether or not he can offer what Postecoglou needs in that situation, we'll have to determine. I think he'll be first choice at right back as it currently stands, but is Jed Spence good enough if they decide to play Pedro Porro up the top? Is Pedro Porro good enough if they decide to keep him at the back? If so, what does that mean for our right side? I think we need to do a stream on the right side of football for Tottenham Hotspur next season, this season coming, and we're going to do that later on today, pending we get over the 10k. Like, subscribe and comment, guys, and as always, bye bye.